All right, welcome. Today we've decided to tackle 8 limbs of yoga
on Curated Consciousness. On Curated Consciousness.
And how that kind of is just in daily living and we don't really recognize it, and how yoga can kind of give us this nice framework to be able to visit these 8 limbs in turn, or sometimes mixed up, or never at all, in kind of like a spiral. So it is a circle, it's a wheel, but it also, the more I grow in my consciousness and my awareness, that wheel, that circle can get bigger and bigger. And so we're going to dive into this today.
So 8 limbs. The first limb is the yamas, the ethical principles of how we interact with each other. So the one that I have been working on.
Well, first of all, there's 5
yamas. Let's do that.
There are 5
There's
yamas.
5. Let's do that first.
So name all 5.
Ahimsa, which is non-violence. Satya, which is truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya is moderation. And aparigraha is non-hoarding.
So these are restraints on how we treat other people. And they also reflect back on ways for us to treat ourselves, which leads into the next limb very nicely. But anything you want to say on yamas as in general? You said you're working on one of them in particular right now.
Well, just to know how they kind of work in, right? So right now I'm really working on non-hoarding. I've been getting rid of any extra stuff we don't need, right? But I'm also trying not to hoard other resources. So I don't know. That's a big hit right now, right? I keep thinking about, to myself recently, what do all these limbs look like when I'm doing something? What do I do? What does non-hoarding look like? And then I keep going back to, what does everybody always say to get there? One step at a time. What's one little thing, right? So why are we taking more than we need? Why are we having closets of a million things that we don't even wear? I wear the same 5 outfits recently because why do I need a million, right? So it's interesting how it's not even you learn these things. And I came and I thought my yoga was a physical practice until one day somebody started talking about these things. And then I'm like, oh, I do that. That's yoga too. Not just in the room that they teach it to me in.
Yeah. Well, I love that you went straight there and this is how I'm doing it and what it looks like for me. But I mean, all those things you mentioned about non-hoarding helps other people too, right? People don't have to step over your stuff. There's room in your life for more things to go into as they flow in and out of your life. And I don't know that I'm working on any specific yama right now, but I am going through the yamas in some of the yoga classes I'm teaching, and I am on the third one, Asteya, and that one is non-stealing, and that is different than non-hoarding, isn't it? Or is that the same thing? Asteya?
Non-stealing. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, not stealing people's time.
Yeah, and I've been kind of talking a little bit about that and how kind of on our bigger stage of our world, how there's a lot of stealing of attention happening right now with certain governments and people. They're kind of like Donkey and Shrek. Pick me, look over here. And so, how this stuff kind of shows up in the world.
Yeah.
And how this ancient practice of yoga sort of nicely started addressing some of these things so that we can live with less suffering, right? That is the goal of yoga, is to reduce suffering, internal suffering on an individual level. So yamas is where it starts. How am I treating other people? How's it showing up in the external world? And then we move into the second limb, which is the niyamas.
And then how we treat ourselves. So it includes salcha, which is purity, santosha, which is contentment, tapas, which is our discipline, svadhyaya, which is our self-study, and isvara, pranayana, which is the surrender to the divine.
So do not look to us on how to pronounce these Sanskrit words.
Not an expert.
We are doing the best we can, the pronunciation. I love the niyamas because, this immediately is like, how can I treat myself better? Things to develop personally. And the one that I'm always working on is self-study. I mean, that's really kind of what these chats that we're doing, this podcast is all about, is giving opportunities and exploring consciousness in a way that allows us to understand the self a little better and how I'm showing up. And so self-study is huge. What is me and what is not me? What a valuable thing to know.
Yes, I know. I'm just laughing because do I always know? I'm not sure that I do.
Yeah. Any of the niyamas stand out to you to speak on? Or we're not going to talk on all 5, but we thought we'd pick out each one that was kind of standing out to us to dig into.
So contentment for me, it's interesting because
Santosha.
Yeah, Santosha's been always one of my favorites. It is a weird thing though, because it's like, to me, one of my keywords this year has been balance, and it's like Santosha almost to me has to be like this perfect balance of contentment that I somehow have been programmed not to do, to be content with things. I always need more, and that's interesting because it ties in. I immediately take it to, you're like, we're stealing attention from people. Why do we not feel like we're content? Because we don't even know where to put our intention to sit with it long enough to even know if we like it or not, because we're so stimulated. So it's interesting that I've been trying to become content with more things and more situations.
Yeah.
And actually letting go of more things. I don't want to say I'm content with more things, because actually getting rid of physical things is my goal. But being content and okay in situations that I'm not quite familiar with never has been a strong suit. But I'm trying to distract some of my outside, or turn off some of my outside distractions so that I have more room for that contentment and not being like, pick me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and how all these niyamas and yamas, they kind of feed into each other. It's like they move into each other very nicely. And
I'm like, wait, which one am I even talking about anymore? Because I could talk about all 5 on the same topic, but it gets me there some way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about cleaning up the inner world. We can look at the yamas as cleaning up our outer world, and the niyamas as kind of cleaning up the inner world. And then once we're there, right, with those 2 limbs, then we move into what everybody knows about yoga, which is asanas. These are poses and postures that we do to move the fascia, right? Which we talked about the first conversation that we had was all about fascia and how it's just this mystical netting that runs through us. And so the yogis brought us these movements that help move and stretch every single part of it. And this is a very important limb. It does prepare for every limb that follows. So anything on asanas?
I mean, I think that I love them because there's also a container in practicing your physical practice that allows you to study the yamas and the niyamas on the mat and take it away. And it's almost like when I have that opportunity of the physical practice with the thought of yamas and niyamas in mind when I'm on my mat, I actually learn the practice of letting go or having more compassion for myself in my self-study, and it's easier to take it outwards.
Yeah. Yep. So they build on each other, right? So far we've cleaned up our outside world with the yamas, we're cleaning up our inside world with the niyamas, and then we're moving our body, right? And the first pose that was ever introduced was just finding a simple cross-legged seat. I mean, just check in with yourself. How easy is it for you to sit for long periods of time? That leads us into the 4th limb, because what are we doing while we're sitting? Breathing. There's more than breath, right? Pranayama is life force.
Yeah, the movement of life force through your body.
This is energy.
Yeah.
Yoga talks about energy work, cleaning up your energy. And it starts with the breath, right? Becoming more aware of the breath. There's a ton of breath work practices in the world, and that, and how we can get the life force moving in the body. It's more than the breath. It's
Yeah,
our energy.
how we can get it
the
moving.
blood. It's the fascia.
It's all, yeah, how you can use it to release, to strengthen, how you can put it in different places, really, to support different things, to turn on different systems in the body, right? Like sometimes in that heavy breath work, they're trying to turn on the sympathetic nervous system on purpose so that you're forced to live through some things, right? So, and then what does that do? It goes through the fascia, and then you fix it back to the breath, takes you back to the movement, takes you back to the exploration of all the yamas and yamas. So it puts you right back into the cycle.
Yeah. Well, and it reminds me, at the point we have to come up with our own ways to cultivate life force, or else we're just spending it, whatever we have left and whatever we pick up through food and just regular breathing in a day-to-day. But doing breath work, doing yoga, all these other practices that we're doing, this is a way to develop your own life force, your own capacity to bring more in so that you can live longer, healthier, more at ease. And why the heck would we want to do that? Well, we're here to experience, right?
Yeah.
And I'd rather experience more fun, more contentment, more connection. Yeah. So this leads us into the fifth limb, pratyahara, turning inwards.
Yeah. How does it look from the inside? Can I sit with it?
Can I be quiet with myself?
Without.
Can I be still today? Sometimes that answer is no.
It is very much no.
And other days it's yes. That's all I want to do. It's pratyahara. It's turn inward, and the world won't let me. It ranges, but the yogis knew that all these four limbs beforehand, they're leading us somewhere, and this is an important step, is being able to turn inward.
Well, that's where the processing happens, right? So you see
processing, yeah,
all integration, processing, right? That turning inward is also a rest of you've taken so much information from the outside world. Now, how do I put it back in? How am I actually using that?
How do I integrate it?
How do I integrate what I want? How do I discern? That's one of our big words that we both love is discern. How do I discern the parts of this that I want to keep that I've experienced? And how do I decide the parts that I don't need to sit with anymore? They're not mine to carry, right? Because also sometimes we pick up things along the way. So just rechecking in. This is me. And you said that in the beginning, like what is us and what's not, right? That's part of the process. So that's one of the places where you can actually kind of see, hey, this is me or this isn't me. Or this is what I want to continue to take with me. And this is not serving me anymore. I'm setting it down. Thank you.
Inward. When I turn inward, I can access my inner wisdom. I can start to organize and put things together and understand them better so that I can develop my own inner knowing and then share that at the right time. Be more aware in the world and be more of service, right? I'm very much a service to others oriented person, not in like a give, I never stop way, but in a, hey, let's all work together and we can do more if we're all supported here.
Yeah, let me teach them what I know so they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Let me help them what I already found out. Let me give them what I already have so they can lift with me.
Right, it's like teaching people to fish.
Yeah.
And they can feed themselves the rest of their life as long as there's a pond with fish in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so fifth limb, accessing that inner world, and then we move into
Dharana, concentration is the sixth limb.
And then it can also be concentrating on your breath, concentrating on your life force, how you're bringing it in and moving it out, and how long can I hold that focus? Is it 2 minutes? Is it 20 minutes? What is it? And not in a judgment way, but just in a
awareness way. So I know what I'm capable of. So I know once I start to get this information on myself and I've been able to do it over time, like, oh, that wasn't as long today. I must be tired. That's another form of self-study when you use the information from it, when you have that timing.
Yeah.
And then also, when you do pick different things to focus on, you can even take it deeper a little bit by, okay, now I focused on this concentration, can I keep multiple things going at the same time? So can I concentrate on this thing and maintain that breath and maybe add something else in? And just to see how I'm working at, using different parts of my body together, because our body works together. We were talking about with the fascia, the first one, that our body works together. So this is another way of just kind of noticing how when we get our fascia healed and back to normal, it kind of knows what to do on its own. And when we ask it to do something, it's like, oh, I'll do that.
Yeah. And then we're on to the 7th limb here, dhyana, which is meditation. And meditation is about accessing particular brain waves. And so when we access meditation, it has a brainwave signature. We're in what's called theta brainwaves. And everybody accesses these just before you go to sleep and just before you wake up. You kind of pass through that liminal state where time isn't quite as relevant, but you're still in some kind of awareness and you're able to hold whatever it is. Like if it's just before waking, then it's like, I need to wake up, right? And you kind of hold that in that liminal space until you're ready to move, and then start to move into those other brain waves that are more active. And so, and all the other limbs beforehand kind of lead us to this meditative state. I mean, think of being at the end of a hot yoga class or a very, physically draining yoga class, and you lay down for Shavasana. I mean, sometimes I just slip right into that. I'm like, oh, okay. And
I think you can do it in the slow class too, right? And the slow class is to train you to purposely go there, right? To slow down, to purposely turn off the other way. Because some of us, depending on what we're going through at that time, the seasons, our health, whatever it is, there's different things that we have to do that are going to cause us to need to burn off extra energy to get into that meditative state, or to just release it without the extra heat to get in there. So
I found meditation is like a separate thing, and I didn't realize it was even a limb of yoga. I had no idea. But I knew that it could help with my busy mind, being able to sit and meditate. And so I would try and didn't do very well. And then I found strategies to help myself sit. But meditation, once I was able to access it, I realized that I'd been kind of meditating all along. I just did it in a moving meditation kind of way. And so this may be how this limb shows up for people is, think of if you're doing a creative project, like maybe making, braiding or doing something that's kind of repetitive, right? You can get into this meditative mind and kind of have aha moments about life, about situations, things like that, because I'm concentrating my action.
You're accessing your consciousness and bringing new downloads, new information that's in there, but until you really do all the things at once,
right? I can concentrate and have a meditative state at the same time, and athletes could think of this as like being in the zone, right? That is it can be a very meditative state. And then all of this leads up to the 8th limb, which is
samadhi, the absorption.
Yeah, this is timeless time. This is integrating whatever's been going on. This is one with all things.
The connectedness, how you kind of feel the universal consciousness at that point, how you kind of feel, to me, like the love and the sorrow. It's like this beautiful mix of being able to see why everything happens for a reason, or
it has a detached yet still compassionate feeling to it. And so it can look a little different for people.
Everybody's gonna, I'm sure, describe it differently. That's why I'm actually,
because I can be detached and realize how messed up something was and still feel like that samadhi, timeless time state.
Yeah.
And get some real clarity around traumatic experiences, just as easily as I can about beautiful, wonderful experiences that I've had.
Same, and I have been thinking a lot. This is interesting. I'm thinking a lot lately, and I didn't think until this moment how it would relate to this so much. But I've been thinking a lot how, like, what are my favorite parts of life? And one of the things on my human design, which we'll drop now so we can get to later, is that I'm a projector, and I really value human connection. And so for me, I was like, well, what is it that I actually want from a human connection? Or what is it that I actually find so beautiful about my interactions with others? And lately, as I've been taking my time and turning more inward and just processing, integrating, I realized that for a lot of years I missed it. And now I'm really seeing it. To me, it's this eighth limb of the samadhi. To me, is seeing how each person has their own definition of what samadhi is, if that makes sense. Their own definition of what's worth it in life, and what they're going to fight for. And it just all relates to how they got there, what programming, what situations put them in this spot to have this uniquely beautiful view on life.
Mm-hmm.